after sitting on the sofa, reading a newspaper, while his mother sat on the sofa knitting, Adam woke to a piercing scream. His eyes burst open. The soft glow of moonlight filled his room. A shrill cry startled him. It came from down the hall. He bounded to his feet, his heart jumping in his chest. Was that an animal? It couldn't be inside, but it sounded like it was right on the other side of the door. Feet pounded down the hall. He leapt to the door, yanking it open. He didn't dare run blindly into the dark hallway. He fumbled along the wall for the switch. In the half-light, he saw an apparition. It screamed in terror, then ran full tilt toward him, blonde hair flopping, and a muscular, naked body. It was his brother. "Franklin, what's wrong?" Adam asked. He stopped, his blue eyes glassy, seeming not to register whom he was looking at. He turned his bare bottom and ran into the shadows, as if fleeing for his life. "I won't do it," he shouted at the top of his lungs, his voice quivering. Adam threw on his jeans and flew up the spiral staircase after him, just as Franklin disappeared outside. Adam hesitated at the door. Should he wake Foster? He must have heard the screams too. He decided to stay close to his brother. Moonlight, almost as bright as street lamps, flooded the marble entryway, leaving him standing in a warm pool of light. The August air was bracing and smelled clean scrubbed and heavily spiced with pine. Reaching his Cherokee, standing at the edge of the concrete, he peered into a dense stand of trees, pierced by shafts of moonlight. The full moon hung over his head like the dot at the bottom of a giant question mark. The woods had swallowed Franklin whole. "What's going on here?" he asked himself. He cupped his hands around his mouth. "Franklin, Franklin," he shouted. The guy was out of his mind. He doubted he would get an answer. The crack of branches thudded off to his right, moving away from him. All Adam could think of was the stark edges of the cliff that lined the property, and his brother was heading straight toward them. This was some sleepwalking episode. Did this have something to do with the seizures? In the bright moonlight, Adam picked his way through the tall pines. The bed of pine needles, full of sharp fragments of pine cones, twigs, and desiccated trees, made him wince with every step. He wished he'd thought to put on his sneakers. He hesitated to listen. Heavy footfalls off to his right, the bursting of limbs, a naked boy running to his death. Adam picked up his pace. He could see his brother lying face down on the cement drive. He broke into a run, branches whipping in his face, on his legs, his feet straddling pincushions. Breathing deeply, he stopped again. The forest was settled and sleeping, save for a hoot owl. Through the web of branches, he could see a figure poached in a yellowish glow. Franklin, scanning the land. Did Adam move toward him? What if he spooked him? Step after cautious step, silently like a native to these woods, he crept until a sharp crack shattered the dense quiet. Franklin notched his head like a startled deer sniffing for predators, then juked off into the deepening woods. Adam swore, leaping after him, fending off the pine limbs, whipping his arms, his legs scratching him with their tenacious strength. He gained on his brother, who weaved through the trees, fighting them off with exaggerated motions, now slowing him down, now half tripping over a root, swimming with his arms, trying to gain purchase in the air, catching his balance and roaring in madness toward the cliff. I won't, Franklin yelled. The wind whistled through the tops of the pines. Needles sifted down in the night air, catching Adam in the face, a prickling irritation on the road to perdition. Just feet behind him now. Franklin's back, a slab of whiteness, contorted in fearsome effort. Breath pounded in Adam's lungs. Heat throbbed through his veins. Fear for Franklin more real than the animals prowsing this wilderness. Inches now, inches to his hair, straining his long, piano-playing fingers, Adam grabbed a fistful of blonde. Wrenching back, Franklin withered like a stallion untamed, head shaking, tearing at the air with his hands and arms, screaming at the gods of the night, refusing to stop, refusing to give in, as if he were defying death. Their feet hooked on a log, airborne. As one, they plummeted to the earthen floor. Adam pounded down on top of his brother, chest to back, a plume of raucous dust rising, air expelling, lungs sucking for life. Adam opened his eyes. The gleam of a white strip of concrete stared back up at him in the pearly night. Franklin's shoulders lay on the jagged edge of the cliff.